Flash, aka Basel, finally decided to respond to my previous video. Big mistake, ya Abfu. Why did you do that, ya Ghabi? Why are you forcing me to shish kebab you like a fat, juicy piggy during the month of Ramadan? In my previous video, you saw that I challenged all Muslims to give us an authentic narration for the Cave Hira incident where Jibreel should have introduced himself to Muhammad saying, I am Jibreel.
Okay, Rob, question.
Yes.
Did you say, challenge me? Where does Jibreel say, I'm Jibreel?
Show me in the story of Cave Hira when he appeared to Muhammad that he said to Muhammad, I'm Jibreel. Show me.
Habibi anta. Give me a big screen? Okay, let's bring it. So I actually have two, yeah?
Authentic narration.
Yes, why would it be daif, bro?
My challenge for all Muslims was very, very clear. Show me a sound, authentic narration where Jibreel introduced himself to the Prophet of Islam saying, I am Jibreel in Cave Hira. My challenge is very clear, right? I want a sound narration for that Cave Hira incident. Again, I did not ask about a different or later incident outside the Cave of Hira. You must be a true product of cousin marriage if you fail to understand the challenge the first time. You'll see that my previous challenge is still unanswered and undefeated. And if you have watched my previous video, I addressed all the books that he brought in our debate. So in his new video, he decided to bring other books to try to refute me because he failed the first time. But you and what army can defeat me?
Rob, just to give you a final big boom,
Yeah, we'll see who's going to give the final boom on who's Tease, yeah, Mr. Tease. I will spank Teasak so hard that you'll not be able to sit for the entire month of Ramadan.
Now I'm going to bring sources that authenticate the same hadith. First book, As-Sahih min Ahadith As-Sira An-Nabawiyya. Page 34 right here, where we can see same hadith. Ya Muhammad anta Rasulullah wa ana Jibreel. Repeated twice. What does it say on the next page? Sanaduhu Sahih. What does it say right underneath that? Hada Sanad Sahih. And then there's Ta'dil of Wahb bin Kaysan. Second book, As-Sira An-Nabawiyya Kama Jat Fi Al-Hadith As-Sahiha. Right here on page 63. We have the same hadith repeated, Ya Muhammad anta Rasulullah wa ana Jibreel, twice. And then what does it say on the next page? Isnaduhu Sahih, Ya Haram. For the final book, we have Fathu Dhi al-Jalal fi Takhrij Hadith al-Dhilal. Right here, volume 3, page 1565. It says on the same page, Ya Muhammad anta Rasulullah wa ana Jibreel, repeated twice. And it calls it Hasan Sahih. And on the next line, we see exactly why it reads تقدم تخريجه من حديث جابر وعائشة في سورة المزمل ومن رواية ابن إسحاق. Dahabi right here accepts it in Siyara al-Ama Nubala, and he also accepts it right here in Tarikh Islam. And he was also crying about me not showing the chain, so here's the chain right here, beautifully laid out in Tarikh Dimashq, volume 63, page 12, which, by the way, Ibn Asakir also accepts. And I dare him to come and show where it's very weak.
A sincere question to you, Basel, and all of your fanboys who are listening, or might have agreed with you that you actually cooked. Did you at least, and I mean at least, read the text inside these reports? Because all of them state that your prophet was a suicidal maniac who tried to jump from the high mountain. And that's why Jibreel came to stop him, saying, I am Jibreel. So as you noticed, this is much later after the Cave Hira incident. And I'm really confused, Ya Basel. Am I the Muslim or are you? Because at this point, it feels as if I am the one defending your prophet, while you are desperately trying to prove that you follow a mentally challenged prophet that anyone should avoid like a plague. And if that's not bad, these reports also state that he was not illiterate, and these weak reports state that he was not awake but was having a dream. So are you against me or are you with me trying to make my point for me? I'm a bit confused. This is really awkward, man. And are you sure that you are a real Muslim? I'm starting to have doubts about you. The problem is, all of these reports are pretty long and sometimes might have the grading Sahih. But because Muslims are lazy, or maybe they are illiterate like their false prophet, they don't investigate if the matan or text is contradicting other authentic reports found, for example, in Bukhari, or they might contradict the standard Islamic narrative about the Prophet. And the awkward part is his gullible Muslim audience think that he actually cooked. How embarrassing. I'll try to keep this video as short as possible, so I will show you what the scholars said about all these so-called Sahih reports. I'll drop the sources in the description box. I'll use the Salafi Islam Q&A website and the famous Sheikh Muhammad Nasruddin al-Albani to spank him. I will show you what they said about all of these reports that have the sentence, "O Muhammad, you are the messenger of Allah and I am Jibreel." Al-Albani in his book Silsilat al-Ahadith al-Da'ifa wal-Mawdu'a, volume 10, pages 450 to 458, pretty much went through all of these reports. As you see, the report with the sentence, "O Muhammad, you are the messenger of Allah and I am Jibreel," is in the context of Muhammad becoming suicidal, wanting to jump from the high mountain, and not inside Cave Hira that happened 3 to 5 years earlier. Different place, different context, and different time. That happened after the death of Waraqah ibn Nawfal, when the revelation stopped for a long period of time. On the Islam Q&A website, under the section The Rejected Hadiths, we find a similar report on top. As you see, again, this is in the context of Muhammad trying to kill himself, with the same sentence repeated twice. The Salafi scholar on the website said, وَمَتْنْ هذه الرواية منكر مخالف للروايات الصحيحة. The text of this narration is rejected, munkar, and contradicts authentic narrations. This text states that the Prophet's meeting with Jibreel was in a dream, not while awake. Furthermore, it includes the Prophet's statement, "What should I read?" Both of these are false. The meeting between the two, meaning Jibreel and Muhammad, was while he was awake. And what the Prophet said, "I do not know how to read," for example, in Bukhari hadith number 3, refutes the idea that the Prophet was literate. Yet this rejected narration proves that he was not illiterate. So this report is automatically weak because it has all kind of defects and it contradicts the authentic sources. Sheikh al-Albani said, "This chain of narration is not something to be happy with, especially given its contradiction with the previously mentioned narrations from trustworthy narrators. It contains several defects." This is one of the chains that Basel, by the way, used. And Sheikh al-Albani continued, "First, one of these reports is mursal. That would be a narration with a missing link in the chain of transmission. Ubayd bin Umair was not a companion, but rather one of the senior successors, tabi'een, born during the Prophet's lifetime. In short, the hadith is weak in its chain of narration and questionably in its text. The believer's heart cannot be at ease with these weak narrators regarding what they attributed to the Messenger of Allah concerning his intention to kill himself by throwing himself from a mountain. The Prophet said, as is authentically reported from him, whoever throws himself from a mountain and kills himself will be in the fire of hell, falling into it eternally, particularly while those weak narrators have contradicted the memorizers and reliable narrators who have transmitted it. Notice, Sheikh al-Albani states that these reports are not only weak, but they made the Prophet suicidal, and that's an attack towards his prophethood. So to summarize, the Islam Q&A website and Sheikh al-Albani stated, these reports contradict the authentic reports. They are weak in the matan, meaning weak in the text. They also say that the incident happened while the Prophet is asleep and not awake. These reports state that the Prophet is suicidal. They also say that the Prophet is not illiterate. What should I read? So these reports contradict the standard Sunni Muslim belief that Muhammad is supposedly illiterate. It seems that you are the one who got belted ala tizak in the end, ya Basel. Try to put some Vaseline on it because it will stay red for the entire month of Ramadan. Next time, sit inside the circle like Abdullah bin Mas'ud to protect tizak.